Hey, it's Chris. What are we doing? News, roundup, upcoming hotness, everything in between, whatever catches my fancy, because that's what I love doing. And it's why you tune in, right? That's why you're here in the first place. We have to start with it. I mean, no cold open rant on this one, right? But we're going to go with it because it's Spiel, right? It's that time of year where Spiel just got announced, the 2024 Spiel de Jahres. I think I'm pronouncing that right for the first time ever. The Games of the Year, the German awards, which again, I guess that's a side open rant right there in a nutshell, right? Why do we put so much stock into the German awards? Right? Question mark? I don't know. Truth be told, right? I mean, solid games, but not always even relevant for outside of the European market from that aspect, right? Just like the European market is sometimes ahead, sometimes behind in the North American market. Who knows? But they've got a lot of familiar faces, and they have their usual three categories, right? Your family gamers, your regular gamers, and your heavier gamers. Now, as I ranted about last year, I remember this because, again, there's always people in the comment section going, that's not a heavy game. That's not a... It's based off of their feelings, not you, remember, who is waist deep in the hobby, or you random Redditor who has a problem with anyone not classifying anything the way you want it. Let's go first, right? First up, Captain Flip from Paolo Mori. Again, family, light style game. Hoist a flag, recruit crew, get as many gold coins as you can, right? It's a push your luck, tile placement sort of game. 9 characters, 4 different boards, right? What's not to love? I mean, it's not going to get the Board Game Geek ranking love. It's not going to win this category, but it's worth mentioning. And let's go to the one that everyone assumed is going to win this category. This will be a nice segue too. We'll kind of flip-flap back and forth here, and Captain Flip anyway. Sky Team from Scorpion Mask. It's the heavy favorite, I would make the argument of. For all the acclaim it got at the end of 2023, for the media side of things, for the overall reception from consumers as a whole, I would argue that this is the one to beat. Now, again, the 2-player count is an interesting dynamic because I think it limits the audience in some ways from that aspect, but do you really care when it's well thought of from that side of things? Cooperative, land your plane sort of thing? Well, I'm pulling this up at the same time because literally we also just got an announcement for the Turbulence expansion. What does that mean? When is it going to come out? Well, I mean, there's not a whole lot of other info. That's pretty much it, coming soon. So I would imagine you're talking probably Essen, because why not, right? Hit the Essen hotness. So why not ride on the back of a Spiel nomination? I mean, that's probably not coincidental. Maybe they got a little advance warning of them getting the nomination, sort of like when the Nobel Prizes go out, those people get advanced nominee warnings, I think, as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of, striking while the iron's hot. It's smart marketing as a whole. And then, obviously, in the footsteps of Darwin, which I talked about last year, just a nice Sorry We're French light tile collection. Move the boat around the outside, get one of the little tiles that's in the row or column that you got, and just make sets down below on your individual player board with a few other mitigation point salad-esque features. So, again, I talked about previously from Sorry We Are French in the footsteps of Marie Curie. Was that last week or 2 weeks ago? About that recent announcement. So, again, I wonder timing-wise, right? Like, totally coincidental or not. So, those are your 3, Spiel level games. Those are the recommended ones as the nominees. But additionally, they offer other recommendations for 6 titles as well. Harmonies. People were more surprised Harmonies wasn't on the list. I can't pronounce this. Pasnicht. I'm mispronouncing as a whole. I'm sorry. Phantom Inc., which just relaunched a crowdfunding campaign that I covered yesterday on the roundup. Again, timing. Now, 3 announcements of 3 different games that just got on the right. It's not coincidence, folks. That's probably also why number 4 here. Again, I'm not looking ahead doing this. Trekking Through History just launched their 2nd edition, right? Timing-wise. And then Trio. I don't know much about the 2 foreign ones, and I don't know anything about Trio. So, again, family gamers. So that's what they're going for there. Kennerspiel is your step up. Kennerspiel are sort of the already comfortable with learning and playing games. Take that for what you will. Daybreak. Did my review last year. It was on my top 15, I believe, of 2023. Guild of Merchant Explorers. Been looking to get this one for, since it came out, just never really came across my bow, essentially, if you will, as sort of a explore a map, variable maps, get little resources, sort of a more advanced version of a roll and write, if you will. Reminded me very much more of the Postmark Games game that was of a similar ilk, just slightly heavier and with an actual board. And then which one of these is not like the other? Ticket to Ride, Legacy, Legends of the West. And although I'm really enjoyed Daybreak, I'm not sure if it's going to be ultimately a long-term game, just because it's a little longer of a lighter co-op for my family and gamer, closeness to play. Ticket to Ride Legacy is probably the hands-down favorite there, because people say they really love it. Now, do they love the $100+ price point to go along with it? Is Spiel actually going to take that into account whatsoever? Probably not. I mean, again, not always the biggest factor on some media side of things about how much a game costs. It should be. It should be much more of a prevalent conversation. But truth be told, I'm not going to say anybody else's name. I'm not always the best at looking at that either. Right? You can insert anybody else there if you have examples, but I'm going to always talk about myself first before anyone else. So again, the other recommended titles, I don't have a clue about 3 of them. Bière Pionnière, Botanicus, Forest Shuffle, which again, I'm a little surprised Forest Shuffle is a step up, and then Ritual. So again, no clue what 3 or 4 of those are. Ritual looks like a 2022 release in North America. Bière, which I'm assuming I'm mispronouncing. Pioneer, that's what it is. It's Bière Pioneer, when I look at it, not small. Again, a 2023 release where you're, brewing. So a different distilled version with worker placements and simultaneous placement. And then the last one up here is Botanicus. And Botanicus is, again, a 2024 release. So it must have just gotten released from Hans im Glück. And again, it's only a 45 to 60 minute game. So these last couple are really much lighter as a whole, except for Pioneer, which is a little bit heavier there as well. But action spots, unique worker placement, resource management from Botanicus. So does that make you interested? I have no idea. No idea how I feel about that one. And then obviously the Kinderspiel are the lightest ones. Don't overlook those, especially if you've got kids under 10. Taco Kitten Pizza as one of them. I can't pronounce the other 2. I'm not even going to try and mess them up. So, interestingly enough, they chose these 22 titles, including all the recommendeds, from 475 games, with considering 351 of the first 2 levels. So, just interesting as a whole, right? Only 300 games of those, of the, how many games came out last year? I mean, that was like when I said I did my 2023 tops, right? I also did the, let's take a look at everyone else's, because some of those games, truth be told, there was one that I just played recently. If I had played it in 2023, it might have made my top 10. But as a mid-tier, media personality, content blair, right? I don't have access to everything. I don't get everything sent to me. Truth be told, folks, I'm still grinding for stuff, right? I think there's this thought like all of a sudden you become people's first choice on things. No, like I'm constantly grinding, constantly asking, constantly grinding to get stuff on the channel to talk to you guys about. So, and sometimes I'm great about doing it, and sometimes stuff also gets lost in the wind on my side of things too. So truth be told, I am, very imperfect when it comes to that. But again, I would say that if Ticket to Ride and Sky Team don't win, I would be shocked. I would be shocked from that aspect of things. So will we see more of it in the future? I would imagine so. And it's always interesting, but slightly surprising, slightly not surprising at what comes out. Then we have a couple of announcement dates as well. Yonder from Sinister Fish finally has a crowdfunding date, July 16. So you get to wait over a month at the time of me filming this to get your hands on a fantasy-esque based worker placement with asymmetric workers building towns. Interested? Intrigued? Mid-weight? Okay. Then, no details, no Board Game Geek entry, but Facebook ads galore! Fower Games has announced-ish, Burgle Brothers 3 in the future. Some sort of futuristic setting, powers, anything else you can think of along those lines, right? No details. None whatsoever. I would imagine, though, if Tim, is doing what I think he's doing marketing-wise, it's probably not going to be too far off in the future as well. Typewriter, Paperback, Fugitive, the more recent ones, Run. I almost said Spy there a minute ago. Those are the ones more recently. So Fowers has something in store for us. We'll kind of see where it goes from that aspect of things. I think 2 is better thought of than 1. I believe so. I mean, it's not ranked as high, but it's, you know, kind of equivocal, I guess, in the actual rankings of Board Game Geek. But I thought it maybe addressed some of the issues. I don't know. I'm making stuff up as I go. So 20 Strong from Chip Theory. They also announced their release date here as well. What we're going to have on that side of things is also another July release from them. Tanglewoods, set in the Manny Tremblay setting world. Everything else with the Manny Tremblay and Roth previously. So 3 new decks, sort of changing it up, sort of not. It's Alice in Wonderland, essentially. It's Alice in Wonderland 20 Strong. And the latest update over on the page actually says that you're going to be able to play through all 3 of these decks in campaign sequence, but you can like kind of choose which one, what order. So color-based, red, white, and gold. Does that intrigue you? The only way I'm getting back in on this, I mean, no, let me be clear about this. I love the idea of this. I played it and it was like, it was okay. It was okay. I guess I'm just not a good solo gamer, right? I'm a poor solo gamer. One thing that would really suck me back into this, though, is if you gave me a 2-player mode. If you gave me something competitive. If you gave me something along those lines. And I think they didn't rule it out previously on the FAQ from the first crowdfunding campaign, but they definitely haven't said anything along those lines as well. So, you know I'm going to be covering it, and they are going to be different than all of the other 3 out there in the first place, which, again, if you're a fan of it, you're probably going to love it all. The problem with the first time around is, you know, there were slight differences in all 3 of them, and you may have liked one of them. You may not have actually liked all 3 of them. So, I mean, I say that on all the crowdfunding campaigns. You don't buy all of them because you like the idea of all of them, because the actuality of all of them is you might not like all of them. If that made sense without saying all of them, all of them, all of them, all of them 2 times until all of them, all of them, all of them too many times until it just sounds weird coming out of your mouth. Speaking of other games coming out under the radar, well, 20th Century Games, off their, I think, stellar smashing review of Raw from Shut Up and Sit Down, selling it out everywhere across the internets and causing people to want to scalp it for, you know, $300 on Facebook. Yeah, that's a real thing, folks. They've announced same aesthetic, Raw and Right. And it's just looking really freaking sweet. Flipping Right from Nizia, right? I was just talking the other day, yesterday, at the end of the video, how I'm going to be covering these Nizia games right here from Bitewing here this week. So expect a review out from those. But 3 rounds, Kingdoms, Old Kingdoms, Middle Kingdoms, New Kingdoms. Advance your aspects of your Civ by filling in your sheet. You got 3 rounds to go. Most points wins. I'm assuming it's going to come to crowdfunding. So we'll kind of see. And I have no idea otherwise, though. Speaking of things that intrigue me, that are a slight playoff of something that you may already love, Pandasaurus just kind of snuck this one out there right now. If you're familiar with tumbling dice, where you have the little tiered layers and you flick the dice down and then they land in the certain multiplier area, and then whatever die side is up, you get that many points. Well, they're putting out like a different version of it with bumpers and monsters that you get to take out. So think like Catacombs meets Catacombs 3rd edition meets sort of your Tumblin dice. And this is called Box Top Pinball Haunted House. And essentially, I believe they're going for the, well, thematically appropriate, October-ish probably, details and release. There's no information, though. There's one image over on Board Game Geek that I have plastered up here that you can see, but we'll kind of see where it goes and how it feels when things get closer, because that's the problem with Tumblin dice. Like, if you have an old version like I do, it's probably around $90. The newer versions, aren't much less. It's $70. But do you want to play a dexterity game like that with a Catacombs feel? Well, I mean, again, I'm intrigued, right? I own both those games, so I guess I'm the Venn diagram of consumers they're looking for. The other thing that we have to talk about that just got announced prior to me filming this is Star Wars Armada, Star Wars X-Wing, have officially gotten the death blow. Atomic Mass Games, which had been producing the remnants of the FFG flagship, I officially announced that they're just discontinuing it altogether. And people were commenting, well, I knew that was coming since they announced X-Wing 2.0. No, you didn't. Screw you. But also, when FFG dropped it, I mean, that was really the telltale sign. And I have a bunch of Armada. I never got into X-Wing. I really haven't hardly played my Armada stuff in the first place. I bought someone's, collection locally for on the cheap, but is it going to be the death blow that we think it is? I mean, to be fair, speaking of Destiny still has, just like Netrunner, secondary community that has continued to support, produce, and print all new content for now years afterwards. Now, I think this is going to be a little bit trickier than anything else of those, because, I mean, those are dice and cards, right? And so this has miniatures and models. That'd be the big issue. And so that's why I think it's dead in the water, DOA, dead on arrival, because it just can't do that style of things from a independent publisher. Is that actually going to, affect gameplay if you own stuff? No, probably not. Is it going to quell new stuff from, popping up and being of interest again, a la the other two? Yeah, probably. It's probably just done. Then we also got a recent announcement or sneak announcement over on Board Game Geek of the latest from Inside Up, Ice and Idols Expedition, where you've discovered a secret ancient temple in the ice, and you have to pick up and deliver those adventurers around the temple ruins, manipulating pathways and getting yourself down to the hidden powers in the idols in the first place. Get the discoveries, watch out for obstacles, modular board, network and route building, all of those sorts of things. No other details or information otherwise at the time, just a picture of what the covers are going to look like. So I would imagine that's going to be the next one up from Inside Up on crowdfunding, because, I mean, we've seen them come more recently with the latest Earth expansion. Then prior to that, we saw Perch and Terminus. So we'll see. Different, a little bit out there, a little bit of ice meets, I don't know, on the underground, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see where it goes. So what do we have on the upcoming crowdfunding? Well, I mean, the biggest one of the upcoming week has to be Renegade Studios' Unstoppable. The card-based combo system, deck building 1 to 2 player, Unstoppable Juggernaut meets Immovable Force. Did I screw that analogy up? Probably. But that's the aspect of things that I'm intrigued to kind of see. Now, 1 to 2 players is an interesting player count from a deck builder. And the combo system of how you're going to be playing them and chaining them, because you're not just automatically redrawing up. It has more of a Skytier Horde vibe in the sense that in order to draw more cards, you have to defeat cards or do along those lines. You do not just automatically sort of deck build, poker style, play all my cards, get all my cards back, play all my cards, get a new hand, play all my cards, get a new hand, right? And so we'll see how it entails. There are a fair number of videos out that were already out at the beginning of the month when I filmed my upcoming June top games. And this is probably one of the most anticipated for me personally, because I look at this as a realistic one that I can play as opposed to something like Grim Covenant or Mythic Battles Egypt, right? Let's not kid ourselves about ease to the table from that aspect of things. So that is definitely going to be near the top of my list of ones that, wow, I may be backing this even though I wasn't planning on it sort of style. Then the second one, Tsukuyumi, is going to be coming back as well from Grey Fox. This is essentially like a 2.5 version, they're saying, a reprint, and it's going to have more content, I think, with a little bit of expansions. They've done the standees, they've done the miniatures. How do you feel about Tsukuyumi? I mean, it's like a super complex asymmetric route, only with significantly heavier area control vibes, which streamlined-ish with the 1.0 to 2.0 versions of things. And they made some big changes. I think there were some compatibility issues and just some version issues, but it's one that it's a big price point. It's a big on the table, but is it a big interest as a whole? I mean, the second version of it on Board Game Geek has a 7.5 rating. The first one has a 7.9, but both of them combined have less than 1,500 ratings total. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? No luck, strategic skill of faction on faction on faction on faction, resource control, white, blue, green, red phases to get the most victory points, occupying and fulfilling goals of your respective factions' missions. I have no idea how this actually flows, plays, or compares to the other area control games. I think, though, off my peripheral knowledge, it's a little heavier. It's got a 3.7 rating, essentially, on Board Game Geek, which is not insignificant. So with a playtime of up to 3-ish hours, because if it's playing at the top end of the 3 hours on Board Game Geek, it's probably more than that the first time or two. That'd be the biggest barrier to entry in a game like this if you can play something, Blood Rage-esque in an hour and a half. right? Not saying like one's better than the other, but I'm saying, do I have more often an hour and a half or 3.5 hours to play a game of this ilk? The other one that I talked about previously at the end of the month, sort of the dark hit, I'm not sure where it's going to end up, is Piri Summoners. From the folks who did the Moku and Moku Tower wooden games, now they're giving us these asymmetric little creatures to go ahead with things. So you're summoning these spirits. They're wooden pieces that you're actually doing. You need to get summoning 3 of your spirit cards in order to win the game, or, well, you can agree to end the game earlier and then the highest score wins. Okay. I mean, again, I feel a little bit mixed when half of the Board Game Geek description is more about the artistic design and the wooden components than the actual description of the game. But again, I kind of want to see what you can do with this, because aesthetics aside, it's an intriguing premise regardless. At the end of the week, we're actually getting into, on the roundup day, usually for me, we are getting the next HEXplore It, Volume 5, The Mountains of Godai. No idea. Thankfully, for noobs like me, there's a game found page. And again, Volume 5 of this. And there's gonna be differences, question mark? Empires, heroes, opponents, elemental augmentation, unique stuff. Again, like, I'd be okay trying this out, but like, I worry that this is another lifestyle game as an open world sandbox-esque, as it literally says here, going away of things. And now, if the 5th edition is that much better, why would I buy any of the other ones? So I have no idea. I'm sure, as it says here, they're all compatible, so you can get all the other stuff previously if you want. But why would I buy this one? Is this one just the best one? Have you learned all of the mistakes or issues or errors or errata from the previous ones? And is this one just going to be the penultimate or ultimate edition? No idea, but in a little over a week, we'll know. That being said, getting away from the crowdfunding, what else is on the hotness? Well, truth be told, because of the very opening of this video, the spiel, those are the main things that are dominating the hotness. Also, arcs. I did my unboxing, rambling thoughts on how big the expansion is compared to the base game, that someone said that they just wanted a core that they could sell at retail that wasn't going to scare people off, and that's the only reason you got a core in the first place comments. Not sure how true that is or not, but, whatever. Star Trek Captain's Chair from WizKids is officially on pre-order. The Star Trek version of Imperium, classic and legends, if you will, from that aspect of things. Harmonies is still sitting there. Dune with Arrakis, the pre-order, launched over on GameFound, and we got to talk about that for a minute, because I ranted about it yesterday for a minute or two. You know me, I only rant for like 1 minute or 2 minutes. I don't rant for like 16 like I did for Grim Coven, right? But the piss people off part of things that CMON is going after right now is if you want the Kickstarter exclusive edition, that took about 4 takes to say, that you have to buy at least, $190 worth of content, because they aren't allowing you to buy anything from the previous campaign by itself whatsoever. You either need to pledge for the new expansion, which is $50, or you have to buy, because they're not allowing you to piecemeal it, they have to buy the whole bundle of gameplay for $220. And just to say screw you a little bit more, they kind of said with the new expansion, we're not going to give you, I think this is right, I'm probably wrong in the comment section, that they're going to give you plastic tokens. And I'm not sure if the cardboard ones are going to be with it as a whole. And if they're not, that's just that's not consumer friendly. And so that costs $220. But they're saying, don't worry, you're actually saving like 20 or 30 bucks if you were to buy all 3 of those things individually. But you cannot, I stress, cannot buy the exclusive edition only. And that's where the $190 comes in, because the exclusive edition is $140. So you have to buy at least the new expansion and the exclusives. If you were a retail supporter, well, again, they're kind of saying screw you for supporting us at retail, because again, if you want the exclusives, which they're actually selling separately, you again have to buy one of the 2 pledge levels that I just mentioned. Doesn't matter. Can't buy just the playmat. Can't buy just, you need to spend at least, essentially what they're saying is like $100. At least. And can't do the $1 thing and get it. Can't do that. That's irritating. So I don't know. That just doesn't seem friendly at all, right? Not that I expect them to be friendly. Not that people in the comment section were saying, well, you should just expect this. This is fine behavior. Like, no, it's not. And the only way that it's going to matter is you got to back with your wallet or vote with your wallet, which maybe that's the reason why DeGenesis didn't do as good. Probably not, actually. DeGenesis just didn't seem like that great of a, Venn diagram of widely getting people in, because it's a skirmish one versus all style of things. But that is just, my own issue with it in the first place. And they say, the expansion's adding a little, rocket launchers and extra actions for, one side or the other. And how do you feel about that yet? I don't know. And there is at least a draft rulebook up now. So we'll see what it looks like and how people like it. But as someone who was really wanting to get this game, that model of things is just kind of off-putting. And I kind of just feel like saying, screw it. I'm not going to get it at all now. I don't need it. Not sure how well it'd get played, but it was on my wish list. And now I'm just kind of saying, okay, I can spend that money elsewhere, with companies that will appreciate it, or have at least a little bit more of a friendly business model in that sense. So, that's on there. Slay the Spire is still tripping around there. It gets its retail release next month. Grim Coven, as we ranted about last week, is on there as well. I won't go into that with any further detail, but you can guarantee that I'll cover it at least once more before the end of the campaign. Actually, browsing the forum comment section in Board Game Geek, a fair number of people are saying, you know what? You're probably pretty good with the retail version as a whole, unless you're going to play it 50 times. And you need to spice it up at that point. Spice it up. Didn't try and do that. It's difficult to be this clever. If you don't know that reference, go look it up. But that's just my feeling on it right now. So I'm in the mood. I need to go buy me some Exceed. I'm still looking for a copy of Evenfall. And you know what? Eventually maybe I'll end up with a copy of Slay the Spire. I would have liked to get it before going on vacation at the end of the month, but it's okay. We're bringing light games to the vacation this year. We go on vacation a week every year with my wife's family up to the middle of nowhere. And, they want to limit screen time for everybody, not just kids. I'm on vacation. I'm an adult. I do not like other people telling me when I cannot watch a screen, especially when I get very little time off in the first place. So we'll see. But I always bring way too many games as well. So maybe somebody actually will play them with me this time instead of me just playing the game of how many games of Spirit Island can I get done in a week, right? Boom. Because your boy's bringing Jagged Earth. He might even bring Spirit Incarnate and just say, screw it. Peace out. See you later. I'll bring some light stuff. I'll bring Chick Takers. I'll bring Far Away. I'll bring maybe, one of the hits last 2 years ago was the solo 2-player version of Let's Make a Bus Route. Just light stuff like that. Innovation, Battle Line, Splendor Duel. A little bit lower overhead too. It'd be really nice if I got my Marvel United Multiverse pledge before then, but I can't bring that. That box would take up half of our storage space in our car on the way up there in the first place. And so, now with 3 kids and 3 suitcases and just tons of kid stuff too. I mean, it's no room for my stuff. So low man on the priority list there. That's all I got. That's all I got. It was a good week, and it was a good week getting stuff played, and we'll have some new stuff and thoughts out in the upcoming week of games from that aspect, and some crowdfunding look back maybe. We'll see. Have a great day. Have a great day. No, not a suggestion. Have a great day. Make it a great day. If you're not having a good day at the time of you watching this, turn your day around, push pause, T for timeout, start over. Have a good day. Please. For your sake, not for mine. Do it. You heard it here. Peace out. Have a great freaking fantastic weekend. Stay classy.